I started my pan over here. It looks like it's smoking, just so we can get the sauce started. You can see these are the vegetables I cut earlier. I just arranged them on a plate so you can see them a little better. Just a reminder, these are the onions, some chopped garlic, those little cremini mushrooms, and fresh bell pepper. So what I'm going to do first is add a little bit of olive oil to our pan. And as you can see, our pan is smoking, so it looks ready. And you want a really, really hot pan for this. So that's about a tablespoon of oil. And we're just going to slide our vegetables in. There we go. Just give that a quick toss. I love the smell that comes off this. The smell of sauteing garlic and onions is one of my favorite. Okay. Now in the meantime, I'm going to get started on our garlic bread. You can see here I have a whole loaf of this French baguette. You can get this at any store. I'll get my knife here. Now what you want to do for this is you just want to cut this in half right down the middle. Just like that. Save that half for a sandwich later. And then you just want to cut this right down the middle as well. Just like that. So you have 2 halves of your baguette. Just slide it open there. Check on my vegetables one more time. Now this dish, I usually put in a little bit of white wine. The wine I feel helps create a little bit of a richer sauce and adds a little bit of body. So I have here just a Chardonnay. You can use whatever you have on hand. I usually go for something that I would drink because keep in mind the flavors of the wine will be concentrated. Add about a cup of wine to that. Let it cook down for a minute. Now if you don't want to use wine in this dish, you can also use a chicken or vegetable broth to help create that body that the wine lends to the sauce. Now next up we have to add our canned tomatoes. I have here 1 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. You can get any brand that you'd like. And just pop that open with our can opener. Alright, that looks good. I'm just going to dump this right on into the sauce. How nice and chunky that looks. Looks great. Scoop out the rest. Alright, we're just going to stir the tomatoes in. I'm going to take a real quick break and let this cook down a little bit. Stick around, I'll show you how this all comes together in just a few minutes. Welcome back, guys. Now over the break we let our sauce cook down just a little bit. Look how nicely that's coming together. It's got some beautiful colors in there. It's such a vibrant sauce. I absolutely love making it. So the next thing we have to do to the sauce is add some fresh oregano. And I have here 4 sprigs of fresh oregano that I actually cut from my mom's front yard. Washed them and dried them pretty well. And you can just stick the whole sprigs right into the sauce because as they cook, the leaves will fall right off. So you don't even have to worry about chopping these. So kind of just tuck them in there, make sure they're all covered. Just like that. Then there are a couple more things I want to add to this. I have a little bit of sugar to cut the acidity of the tomatoes, so I'll just sprinkle a little bit of that in. Maybe about a half a teaspoon. And then we're going to flavor it with a little bit of salt and pepper. Let's just get a little sprinkle of salt. And some fresh cracked pepper. Now you want to be careful about over-salting this sauce because we are adding capers and olives, which are naturally pretty salty on their own. So you can always add a little bit now and just adjust it later if you need a little more. So I have here a jar of the small capers. What you want to do first though is you want to drain the juice off these. So just kind of like tuck your fingers over the jar, strain the sauce, the juice out. Give that little shake. And I like a lot of capers, so I'm going to put the whole jar in. Kind of have to shake it a little to get them loose. So there we go. Then I have in the fridge here some olives. These are some nice Kalamata olives that you can buy in any grocery store. I find that most grocery stores these days have really nice olive bars, and a lot of times they have the olives on there that are already pitted. So as you can see, these have no seeds in them. It's perfect. You don't have to worry about, hurting your teeth while you're eating this sauce. So I'm just going to sprinkle those in there. There's maybe about a half a pound of olives in there, and just stir those in. And I'm also going to add a little bit of crushed red pepper flake. I like a little bit of spice to my sauce, so you can add this if you want. You don't even have to. Just give that a little sprinkle. A little bit goes a long way with that stuff. I'm just going to stir that. Now this all has to just simmer to come together, so I'm going to turn our heat down to about a medium-low and pop a cover on there. And also over the break, I got started on boiling some water for our pasta. So as you can see, that comes to a nice rolling boil there. You always want to add salt to your pasta water to give it some extra flavor. Nice healthy amount, be good there. Always heard that you want your pasta sauce to taste like ocean water, so be pretty liberal with the salt. For today's dish, I'm using some linguine. You can use any pasta if you like. If you prefer short pastas, you can use, something like a baked ziti noodle, some rotini if you'd like. But I prefer long pastas. Grab a handful of linguine. I'm just gonna lay that right into the sauce. Now I'm feeding a couple friends today, so I'm just gonna add a little bit more, about another half a handful. All right. Just give that a quick stir there. And this will take about 8 to 12 minutes to cook, depending on how soft you like your pasta. But you do want to stir it in the beginning to make sure that it doesn't stick together. There we go. Now the last thing we have to do for today's dish is make our garlic bread. So you can see here I have the garlic that we chopped earlier. I also have a stick of unsalted butter that I've had at room temperature so that it's easy to mix. So what you want to do is just drop this butter in with the garlic. And I'm actually going to use a fork for this because I find it's easier to blend everything. And if you'd rather use margarine or some other kind of vegetable spread, by all means do so. I just prefer butter. That's what I grew up with. We're going to add maybe about a teaspoon of dried parsley and about a teaspoon of dried oregano. I find that these are always good to have on hand in your pantry. And then we're also going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. Make sure I don't put too much in there, just a little sprinkle. That looks good. Some fresh cracked pepper. There we go. Now what you want to do with this is just mash everything together with your fork. Make sure you turn it over a couple times in the bowl to make sure everything's mixed pretty well. Now one thing I really love about today's meal that I'm making is that it's one of those dishes that really does tastes like it's taken all day to make. The first time I made this at home after learning how to make it in New York, when I ordered it at a restaurant, my father liked it so much that he started asking me to make it pretty much once a week. So now I find whenever I have friends over for dinner, it's usually the dish I make because it's really easy to make, it doesn't take all day, it's really inexpensive, and it's just got tons of flavor. So what we're going to do with our compound butter is just spread it on the French bread we cut earlier. Do you want to spread that on pretty evenly? All right, that looks good. The garlic bread is usually the first thing that goes at dinner time too, so if you want to use the other half to make some more, by all means, please do. The great thing about grilling the garlic bread too is you don't need to spray the pan or anything. Because it's got butter on it, it'll just come right up when you're ready for it. I'm going to check on my sauce one more time. It looks beautiful. It looks like it's pretty much almost done. You can see here, I'll try to get one of these oregano stems out for you, that the oregano, once I put it in full, like whole on the stem, the oregano leaves kind of cook right on it, and eventually they'll just fall right off. So you can see how that's happening. Vegetables look like they're pretty tender. So all we have to do is wait for our pasta to finish. Alright, I'm going to take one more quick break. I'm going to let our pasta finish cooking. Stick around. We'll have everything coming together in just a few minutes.